What up, boxing fans? This is the Rope-A-Dope Report. I'm your host, Chris Carlson. Make sure you check out countrymansfist.com. It's right over there. That was kind of stupid. Anyway, what's going on? This is a prediction video for an undercard fight of the Pacquiao-Clottey coming up this weekend. I'm starting to get excited, starting to get that buzz. Anytime Pacquiao fights, I mean, I like Clottey too, don't get me wrong. But anytime Pacquiao fights, you start to get excited, and no matter what, he's going to bring the entertainment value. But this is an undercard fight. You know, there's other undercard fights, but I think this one is actually the fight to talk about. David Diaz against Humberto Soto. You know, they actually just recently fought a liked opponent, the same opponent, Jesus Chavez. And Jesus Chavez I really like to watch. For David Diaz, it was a tight fight. I believe one of the judges had it a draw. He didn't look good. There's no doubt about it. Now, that was a tune-up, although it wasn't really a tune-up because he got tested, but it definitely was a rust factor. He hadn't fought since June 08, I believe. Is that true? Yeah. Since he got beat down by Manny Pacquiao. So he took a long break. You know, it's tough to say. Obviously, he had a lot of rust on him. He didn't look good. I've only seen highlights in a couple of the rounds, though, so I can't sit there and say I saw the whole fight. But from what I've seen, just maybe half the fight, and from what I've heard, he looked really bad. And it may be a case of rust, but it also may be a case of Manny Pacquiao and some of the other wars and damage that he's taken is you know, caught up to him, and he's not the same fighter he was. Eric Morales and him got it on, and that was a great fight, great war. Tight fight. A lot of people think Morales won the fight, whatever. Some people think it was a draw. Some people went to Diaz. The Santa Cruz fight, he was down, and he knocked him out. Came back and knocked him out. Kendall Holt, I think he had Kendall Holt down. He went down, then Kendall went down, and then he lost by knockout. So the guy has been in a lot of wars. He's a very entertaining fighter to watch, in my opinion. But I'm not sure if he's exactly on his prime. Definitely activity is going to play a factor in this fight. Humberto Soto, you know, he lost to Kevin Kelly in early 2000s, I think. 02, 03, something like that. Just off the top of my head, I believe 02, 03. Was been on a long streak without losing. Guzman, he lost. So he's really only lost... straight up lost one fight to Guzman, and he even made a little run in that fight and made it competitive. So he's definitely been more active. I believe that he's a good fighter, very solid fighter. You know, he can walk you down, he can cut off the ring, he can you know, punch straight. A lot of people I've heard Soto, they got Soto pretty much hands down in this fight. I wouldn't count David Diaz out because he's been in there with a lot of guys. He's been in there with guys at 135 too, and Soto really hasn't been in there at this weight. I believe that Guzman fight was at 130, so he hasn't really been in with top guys at this weight, whereas David Diaz has been in there with some top guys at this weight class. No matter what, though, I see an entertaining fight, and in fact, as far as, you know, both ways, fighters in a two-sided fight. I'm trying to find some words here. You know, where you're actually, it's not, because I'm not sure. I think Clottey, just to get off subject, can give a style matchup problem early to Pacquiao. I think he'll just overwhelm him after a while. But I think as far as two-way action, as far as two guys going at it and landing punches, this could be the fight of the night. And I think it will be. Don't get me wrong, Pacquiao's fun to watch regardless, but as far as two-way action, I could see this being the fight of the night. I'm going to go with Soto, though. I think it's hard to say, oh, he's fresher, because he's not young either, but he's definitely, he hasn't taken as much punishment, lately anyway. Not that David Diaz has, but he's taken a lot of punishment in the recent years in his recent fights, and then obviously Pacquiao really punished him. It's not like Guzman's last, or not Guzman, but Soto's last loss to Guzman in 07. you know, he didn't take a bunch of punishment in that fight. I mean, he got hit plenty, don't get me wrong, but, you know, he was starting to really make a push there at the end, and he even cut off a defensive fighter. So I do think Humberto Soto will come through. I could see both these guys on the ground in winning. It could go either way. I'm not gonna be a person that's gonna count out David Diaz in this fight. I could see where he could win the fight. He's a battler. You know, hopefully he looks better than he did in his last fight. Hopefully he got a lot of that rust off. We'll see. I do think, just in general, I think activity will play a part in this, in the fact that Soto's been more active just in general. So I have Soto winning. I'm not going to say he's going to knock him out. I'm going to say a decision. This has been the Rope-A-Dope Report. I'm your host, Chris Carlson. Peace.